Hello and welcome to Interfaith Insights, Spotlight on Faith, the show that explores the music career of celebrated artists to show how faith and spirituality has played a big role in their lives and through their music. And today we're joined by a really incredible artist, a singer-songwriter, peace activist, humanitarian and founder of both the Glasgow Gospel Choir and Zuba Bassa Beat, is that correct? And also Bassabeat Productions music company. Welcome, Jerry Boweh, to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Iain.
So, first of all, starting from the beginning, I read a great quote from you, I think, one of your sites, which was that you've been a musician since you cried your first sound. That was fantastic. So, where did that love of music come from Jerry? Do you come from a musical family?
I will say, because you remember, my family is not a big family like people would have known and written about. We are very traditional people, to put it that way.
Okay.
And where I grew up, everything is music. Everything is music. The work, everything is music. I think you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
So that's where the music came from, most especially because that's how we express, that's how we do things. But I always loved music because it was a way that I could express myself, and it developed more because the village that I was born in Liberia is about maybe 20 minutes walk from the mission school that I went to. So to be honest with you, that was my first mind, because I'm an African kid and I'm born in this village, and we do everything traditionally. Everything, absolutely everything. There's no shop in that village. There's nowhere you go to shop. Everything is done there. If I walk and go to school, that school is just like another park with houses and mission school and the rest of it. So between these two places, I begin to wonder why. And there where the music, there where the charity and everything started from, and even back to my own country, Liberia. Liberia is Africa's oldest republic. That was the land of the free, created after the Industrial Revolution and the abolition of slavery. So the free slaves supposed to be in Liberia and live freedom.
Wow.
But when the free slaves came, they did not come with the integrative idea. They were controlled by their masters. So the sad story is that they recolonized the indigenous Liberians, because the free slaves that came, they were Joseph Jenkins Roberts, the mulatto man, Stephen. All of these people, they are pure Americans. But put it in this way: if I was with the Refugee Council here and they wanted to send a group of refugees back to Rwanda or to Liberia, they would send somebody from Refugee Council to come with us. And probably it was the same idea, but the person that went with them became the leader.
Right, okay.
So that triggered the Liberian Civil War and the rest of it. But those were places where we started asking questions about slavery, about blackness, about refugees, war. Those are where the questions started a long time when we were a child. So when that happened, when the war came, we began to see the story we heard about inequality, embezzlement, this one and that political conflict. So I went through that. So basically when I came, I mean, the way that I got out of that war to come to the UK is another story. My brother, it's another story. That's why people who don't believe in God, I say, I do believe in God. I don't believe in the God that somebody might see standing, but there is a power out there that can transform things. So from that experience of living as an African child, educated there, experiencing the war, and then going through that, I flew from Liberia on a Saturday, October 1st, on a Saturday from Springfield. And on Sunday, October 2nd, or Octopus, no plane landed in Liberia for another 7 years after flying from that local airport. So if you look at the stories, and it's well, I don't think God took me from Liberia to go somewhere for my own benefit. And I don't have any reason for my own. I think God sent me to do something. And that's how I started a charity. I couldn't get grant because people don't trust me. I don't have the experience. I'm an African, just young, so I couldn't get ground. That's why I brought the Glasgow Gospel Choir.
Mm.
Use my own skill to train a choir, and if this choir is good enough to raise money, then my charity will function. So that's what we've been doing. That's that time when I left the school, I went back there and I was teaching music. I volunteered to teach music. I was taking the school to flag days and other activities because I love music. I love sports. I love everything. So then when the music started, but then when I experienced the war and came over and now distance from home and looking at it from the different perspectives, that's when I started writing the song, War on Africa, Abolition, all of these others on the Hill, Africa, and the rest of it.
Was there an influence of kind of gospel music or reggae music, or what was the kind of influences maybe for you growing up?
Gospel. I was born in a mission, and the mission was gospel. You have to go to school Monday to Friday, and you must go to church on Sunday. Those were some of the restrictions. But the good thing about that was I learned to play lots of instruments on that mission. I was just a little curious boy. I learned to play football, basketball, instrument, drive, So that opened my mind and also gave me a lot of confidence before leaving Liberia. So if you look at the music came, when I came here, the music started to evolve because I was missing home and I could see what was going on. But Iain, one thing I should mention is that the trauma. When I went through that war in Liberia, I think I was caught in the area where we got captured by the rebels. And you have to be searched, whether you're the old soldier, you got to be searched, and then you go through this process to get to a checkpoint where they check you and the rest of it. And it was at that checkpoint where I saw kids, maybe 10, 9, 10, 11 years, just shooting somebody. Just about 3-4 feet away from me. And I'm the next part.
What age were you then, Jerry?
22, 21, right. 22, something like that.
Yeah.
And that was the time that I knew, fear is contemplated. If something happened immediately, you don't know how to tap into fear. You're just frozen. I was frozen. But it happens that group, there was the group that was controlling, there was a friend of mine, I won't call his name now, that was there. And they knew I was stuck on that campus. I was on the Camp Bethesda where I was teaching kids again, basketball, football. I was on the little mission outside the city. And the guys then said, we know Jerry there because I went to school with them at a place called Booker Washington Institute. So they knew that I was there. So when they took me away from that crowd and took me in their little hiding place, everybody thought they have killed me. And when I got there, I knew a few of them, but they started this gun raging, gun. So everybody thought, okay, that's him finished. But they were the one that took me from there. The French took me and said, what are you doing over there? They command everybody there to be killed. So that's how I managed to escape. But then escaping that, how do I get from Monrovia now out of there, And so when I left Liberia, I came to Scotland. That was the story. I came October. And remember, the war started. I've been living in the war almost a year. It started the Christmas Eve, and this is the following year. This is September, October we're talking about, and I'm in Glasgow. And all I've been hearing for that year is gun sound. And then I'm in my flat, and it was Guy Fawkes Week.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And every fireworks that go, I would drop from my bed, and had a nightmare for the week. And then I began to sell because I didn't know, do I go to somebody and say, this fireworks is driving me crazy? I don't know who to go to. I'm only here for maybe a week or two. So I began to process my own way of getting over this trauma, trying to think to myself, okay, well, this is balloon, this is that. And that's why I studied, rehabilitation health and mental health and all of those sort of things, and use the music more and stuff like that. So my first 2 weeks in Scotland,
Wow.
My first 2 weeks in Scotland was in November, Guy Fawkes Day, and then that was my induction. So yeah, so that's where the whole thing rooted from. And then I began to, Scotland have a lot in common with Liberia. That's why I call myself Glasberian, because I'm in Glasgow, Liberia. If the Simongo, the bell that never rang, that bell stands, is built, that bell monument is on the University of Liberia since when? So that's Simongo, so there's a lot of Scottish connection. You got Buchanan, you got Edina in Liberia, you got the Scottish Rites. Michael Pipe is the first of its kind on the whole continent of Africa. Oh. The Scottish Rite, which is amazing. So Liberia have a lot of connection because it's an old country, and of course Britain was the first to recognize Liberia independence from 1847 or to maybe 1850 something before America realized it. So Liberia is very connected to the United Kingdom.
So when you, obviously the first 2 weeks were quite hard coming here with fireworks, and I understand that my wife is Rwandan, and it took her a long time to get used to fireworks, like the same as you. Every time the fireworks started, she wanted to jump under and hide under the table. It was like some kind of militia were coming. I understand. So at what point did you get from there to the gospel choir? I mean, I don't know that. Does Glasgow have a long history of gospel? I haven't really.
No, I just decided to. I noticed there was a gap. It was a gap. There was a gospel gap in Glasgow. Even though you got choir, but they were not gospel choir. So I started the first Glasgow gospel choir that do Negro spiritual, African gospel, real uplifting gospel, encouraging gospel from slave time. I was the one that started that because it was a gap that I wanted to tap into. And secondly, I didn't know how to have a band. I didn't know about a band, sort of thing like that. So the choir started when, after all of this, when I was in Scotland, the founder of Mary's Meal, Magnus Macpherson Barrow, I heard of him through university, through my friend Bianca Holmes. I don't know, Bianca the Rory. They are still in Glasgow. They told me that a friend of mine, there's somebody from Liberia. And I haven't seen anybody from Liberia since I left Liberia for the war. And I went to visit Magnus, and he started telling me about, it was called Scottish Relief, something Scottish Relief, before they become Married Meal. It was called something, it had a name before. And I went, he said, well, we're raising funds. So I said, well, I will do something for my country, because if you're raising funds for Liberia, I want to be involved, whatever way. That's when I met Father Gary and all the people that was involved with the Mary's Meal. So that I organized a fundraiser. And it's at that fundraiser, I formed a group called Zuba.
Yeah, wow.
And that Zuba was to be backed by a group of people, because I didn't want to just do a band thing. I want to do a gospel thing. Right. And the name Zuba means cheer. Those of you back home, forget about your worries and move on.
Okay.
So Zuba, cheer up, sort of thing.
Wonderful.
So that was a concert. So that concert was done for Mary's Meal, and it's from that concert now the group are called in the Glasgow Gospel Choir, because they wanted to continue to sing. And then we used the Glasgow Gospel Choir, and then begin to sing and use the money to support ADAP, African Youth Development Action Project, and we support them to and that's been going on.
I wonder where these two things came about. So that's really interesting to know.
Yeah. And that's how the gospel choir started. But Liberia is a very gospel country, if you know what I mean, because it's very American connected. And gospel too has a level of consolation in music. I mean, we know that some people don't want to hear the gospel, but I think because of the way man has manipulated it, but it's not the fact that is behind the spiritual aspects of it. So that's how the gospel choir came about.
So is your faith, this week is also Scottish Refugee Week. I was wondering if you have any kind of thoughts or any learnings that you want to share for, obviously the challenges for refugees coming to Scotland, and maybe you also have some advice for those who are, supporting refugees.
The message for refugees is to be strong, because that's what you can say, because we don't know what are the different things that people are facing apart from the normal food, shelter, and water. But one thing that refugees will experience, that you will lose your sense of humor. If you were the funniest person in your own country, you go to another country, it will take you a year or two before you become funny again.
Wow.
Which is personal.
Mm.
Two, you will be aware of yourself or your culture, and when you integrate, you wouldn't know whether you're black or white, like I told you.
Mm.
And for refugees, it's a road that you cannot imagine. When you say refugees, what brought that title to that person? There are many roads. Some of them don't make it to get a title. Some die, some this one and that one. So when you hear refugees, are people that just have passed through hell to heaven, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Because if I told you I went through war, this one, that one, that one, that one. Of course, mine is war. And then luckily for me, I was blessed to be given money to fly directly from Monrovia. Some people have to go through the butches. Some people have to cross river, the whole thing. But two, the main thing is people are people. No matter how much experience of prejudice you might face or feel with somebody, there are another person that is your best friend and will be your closest friend and can die with you. So don't think color, don't think this one and that one. If you want to meet good people, there are good people always there. So as a refugee, you have to be strong, you have to be open-minded, you have to be versatile, because you have food you don't like, you have to eat, you have to tune into the Scottish conversation, because when I came, I couldn't join a conversation because they won't go and I didn't know how to jump in those conversations because it was fast, and secondly, I didn't know that pattern of conversation. So these are little bits and pieces that the book Glasberian brought out because of their experience and stuff like that. So if you're a refugee, be strong, have hope, and your strength is in you. And I will leave this with you. It's a phrase that I wrote. You are you. You are only you. Nobody will ever be you. So be your best, do your best, and live your best. That's all that is asked of you. That's a phrase I wrote.
So we should let everybody know that obviously you are working on this new book, which will share some of your experiences and learnings as a refugee. Again, tell us the name of the book.
Glasberian. It's Glasgow and Liberia.
Glasberia. That is such a wonderful title.
Glasberian, Glasberian. So it's a nationality.
I almost want to sing Glasberian Girl. You might. Just a couple of questions before we finish off. Obviously, at the moment, we've got the Black Lives Matter protest movement going on. I wonder what you're thinking about what's going on just now in terms of, obviously people are feeling very hurt by the racism that's going on. There's a real sense of injustice, really, people wanting to pull down statues and things. I
think Black Lives Matters is a due issue that's supposed to come on the table now, because it's old. As I said, that's what we've been working with. And that's why we've been working on this charity through that war, the experiences we have from home, from war, from the rest of it. Black Lives Matters is important because it's just like one small little apple. One small apple connected to the apple root, I would say. Because these are systemic. This is Britain. This is Britain who started most of the thing with the Roman people and the rest of it. In fact, the Scots suffered. So these are not, it's just that because the Black people, Africans are not having the fairness to participate and develop their lives. But this, what we are talking about, the injustice and domination have been globally. So Black Lives Matters is a very big issue, but it open wounds. There's lots and lots going to come out. However, we know that already. And that's why we keep on our own path to build the platform where white, black, Indian, Asians want to do good things. That's why the Lift campaign come in. Whether you know that you want to do good things. So we're out of the racial war completely. And we are building a model to tell you that regardless of what your color or race is, you can achieve this with togetherness. That's what we call it the positive energy hub.
Wonderful.
If I want to move a car, I'm going to need people to move it. It doesn't matter whether you're gay, lesbian, black or white. That car will move. That's the philosophy. To move the poverty, to alleviate poverty, to educate, to integrate. That's what we want. How it is done and with whom it's done. It doesn't matter as long as that thing is done and properly.
That's beautiful. And what's next? What's next for Jerry the musician and Jerry humanitarian? It's a Lift project, I guess, is the main thing. Is there anything else that's...
No, the Lift project is on board now because I'm working on a campaign. When the campaign comes, we'll bring the music through it. We'll bring everything through it. You know, they are all connected. Yeah.
Wonderful. And have you got any final message for everyone just before we leave?
No, I want to say thank you to everyone who listening, who watching this, and we thank God that you are safe. And Iain, I want to say many thanks to you because after a few years, no radio station asked me of my work, but I'm still going on. And thank you very much for bringing
that's
this
very
up.
sad, and that itself points to a problem that we have when we have, you know, such acclaimed musicians who aren't being played. We need to challenge that system. That's partly maybe problems, part of the institutionalized problems that we have. We need to create another vehicle for where fantastic music like yourselves is more heard and becomes more mainstream.
Before you go, I just want to appeal to people to support me. When I say support me or support us, is because we've been doing this for a long time, and we are musicians. But I've studied I studied extensively music therapy. I got 2 master degrees, and I'm way up there into the intellectual forum. Now my PhD, which is this Lift thing, we don't want to write another paper. We want to get the people together to see whether they can get themselves out of poverty with the help they can get. So when we're asking people to help, we're not just talking about the guitar. They are things that people can help with and be involved with. And that's what I want you to be on board, because you're just like my copy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, in any way I can. So where should people go to?
Facebook. They can get to my Facebook, Jerry Facebook, or Lift Facebook, or which one? ADAP Facebook. There's a lot of Facebook they can go to. Meaning mine, then I can respond to that.
More information. That's wonderful. Well, I'm sure everybody's been inspired by all the wonderful work that you're doing. Music is really making a difference, not just here, but in Liberia, other parts of the world. Through that mission of just showing how music can improve people's lives and lift their spirits in difficult situations. I really thank you for coming on, Jerry. You've inspired me a lot. I'm sure you've inspired a lot of other people. So,
thank you too. You inspire me too, Iain. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
When the Lord said